Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you again for joining us on Beyond the Frame. I'm Jay Nephew with Cubica AMF, and joining me today is our awesome guest. He's been on the show once before, and we had just the most fantastic chat. We brought him back because he's got some really good, compelling content that everyone, I don't care who you are, you can benefit from. Welcome, Dr. Dean Hinitz, sports psychologist and business consultant, I should say, right?
I think that fits. Thank you, Jay.
Yeah.
I've been looking forward to this for weeks. True story.
I have been too, not to lie. I'm a little bit geeked out because I just love chatting about, the possibility of whatever you want to happen, making that happen. Like, that's not something that we should take lightly. And yet somehow, you see all these memes and social media is like, oh, rainbows, unicorns, ha ha ha, it's so fun. But in reality, if you don't put the work in, if you don't sit down and identify what you want to do and where you want to go and figure out how you're going to get there, you're just posting memes, people. So today we're going to talk about setting goals and achieving them, both not only just for bowlers, but for business, and how you can turn those things into real dollars and real success. So my first question to you, Dr. Dean, is why do I want to set a goal? And what does that even look like?
All right. The reason that you want to set a goal is because 100% of your life satisfaction is based on setting and achieving goals. How would that be for an answer?
Wow.
Right around 100% of your life satisfaction. And so you go, well, what's the point of this life? And if it's not to have an experience of satisfaction or joy or happiness or accomplishment, there isn't much else. Like having stuff, but not having a feeling that goes with it, it doesn't count. It doesn't matter. It's not your experience. However, I will say this. I do think most people have goal setting, like the way they do it, I don't think works, because if it did, everyone would be skinny, happy, and rich.
That's true. Oh, wait a minute. I don't fall into any of those categories.
you want to, you will. But so that's the why. It is A, because things will turn out, and B, every single person who has a goal who's listening to this show right now, I can promise you the reason they have their goal is they think that they're going to feel better in having the goal than they feel now. So that's the reason. And I don't blame you. To want to feel better makes all the sense in the world. Yeah,
nobody sets a goal to pull their toenail out and watch it bleed. I mean, that's something that you do set goals because they're aspirational, because you want something better, or you want to feel better, or do something better, or more important, or more valuable than what you're currently doing. So that's no different whether it be in a bowling career or progression of your skill level, or if I want to operate and own my own business one day. I have to come up with what is my goal. And it can't be super vague, like I want to be rich. That's not a goal. I mean, it is, but it's not well defined. From what I know about goal setting is, well, okay, first of all, I'm going to say this. I'm going to pick on Dan Patterson because he's my friend and I can. But there was a time when Dan's from the West Coast, Phoenix-ish area, it's kind of West Coast. I'm from Western New York, not the West Coast. Different mentalities. We became friends. He moved to Buffalo. I let him live in my apartment. We had 3 bedrooms, so it was plenty of room for him and his stuff that he wanted to move into Buffalo with. And he said, I want to come to Buffalo to bowl because there's really good bowlers in Buffalo. And I said, oh, that's a great idea. You're going to get better bowling in Buffalo than probably you would if you just stayed in Phoenix. So he came to Buffalo. And one of the first things that I remember him putting up on the door to his bedroom was like this poster that I thought like a 6th grade girl might have made, because it had like magazine cutouts and words and all this thing. And I go, what the hell is that? And he said, oh, it's my vision board. And I laughed hysterically. And I was like, oh, you are from the West Coast. I said, what's a vision board, dude? And he's like, look, if you don't put this stuff out there into the universe, you're not going to manifest it. And I'm going, oh, okay. So what's your vision? He said to me the following, not lying. Here it is, 2000, I don't know, whatever, 2001. It could be 1990 something, who knows? He said, I want to make Team USA. I'm going to get on Team USA. I want to win the Buffalo Masters. And I looked at him and I said, "Oh, that's good. That's a good goal. But there's like dozens of phenomenal bowlers in Buffalo that bowl that Masters tournament, and it's 7 days. So like the fact that you're going to come in from Phoenix and with very little background and win this thing, well, fast forward a year, he wins the National Amateur Championship. He's on Team USA, and he wins his first Buffalo Masters he ever bowls in. So I look like, what the hell is a vision board? I need to make a vision board, And that's what I mean by setting specific goals. He used to tell me, you have to define your goals. So how important is that? Where's the level of sophistication with defining them? Where do you tell your people that you work with?
I'm going to tell you something that's a little backwards from the norm. First of all, I love this story. I was there, present at the bowling stadium when Dan, I think he won the National Amateur Championship. And I saw the last couple shots for what he had to do and what the person right behind him had to do. And so I was there in that moment, and you're bringing back a memory. Let me tell you something about goals and people being specific that I think is backwards. And the Women's Queens is in Reno right now. I'm working with players, and so we're right on this, right? Like, what are we doing? And if for those who are in the bowling world, which is a lot of people listening, we say, okay, would it be a good goal to say, I want to make all my spares in a tournament? And I go, here's your goal. I want to make all the single pin spares in a tournament. And the rest of the world would go, great goal, good aspiration, very specific, it's all good. And I go, silly goal. And someone goes, silly goal? Why would that be a silly goal? I go, well, unless you're brand new to this, making your spares is a good idea. Like, this. Like if I said, Jay, we're going to compete, you're going to nationals, let's have a goal, make your spares. And you turn to me as your sports psychologist, you go, Dr. Dean, this is awesome. I've been bowling all these years, all these megabucks tournaments. No one ever said that to me before. Making spares. I'm going to nationals with a whole new, this is going to change everything. Like I'll end up I'll have clean frames. I'm like, yes, glad I could be here for you. This lesson was worth everything.
Can we set you up next week at the same time?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Once you have it, I'll get back to what Dan did with his vision board, which I actually think is a good idea. But ultimate goals don't have to be reset all the time. What happens then if I say make your spares is now I put you in the lanes and it's 10th frame, you need to mark, and you go, oh, I've got to make my spare. And there's nothing about that helps you play better. Nothing about knowing making spares is a good idea that has you be better at spares. There's nothing about saying, I want to have a lot of money that has you go, oh, this is really working for me. Okay. It's okay to have that. Those of you who want to be affluent, cool. I think that's an awesome goal. But what for? Those of you who want to make all your spares, what for? And I'll back up to a little bit in a moment to the kinds of goals that work. And two things. Goal setting is it may be the most primary elementary experience in life. Okay. So what happens? Picture this. Baby comes out onto the table, flies onto the table. That's what they do. And the baby's goal is near immediate, which is I want to be held or I'm hungry. Those are the two biggies. Maybe in third place, a close third is I'm cold, put a towel on me. And so the baby learns really quickly. Milk comes from that. There's a boob or a bottle, or I'm not alone when when they start to figure out this is a parent or this is whoever, I'm going to be held, or I'm cold and I need those clothes. And the first goal setting is primary goal setting, which is I'm hungry, I want to eat, I'm lonely, I want to be held, I'm cold, I want to be swaddled or swathed. And the first goal is I'm getting this done. And a baby figures out early, I'm getting this done. This is super important. It's the first goal setting. I have a desire that I want satisfied because I'm going to feel better when it is. And when I achieve it, it's awesome. And that is how babies respond. They'll cry or they'll do whatever they do. And then when the thing happens, you pick them up. they have this experience of satisfaction, or they feed, they have the experience of satisfaction. And so the very earliest experiences, I have a desire, I move to satisfying it, I feel great when I do.
So that's from birth. That's built in. That's primal instinct, is what you're saying.
That's in us. And when we surrender that, we die. That's when people go, oh, that person's old. They don't have any more desires. They don't have anything that stirs them. They don't have anything they want. The Buddhists messed this one up from my point of view. Seriously. They said the seed of all suffering is desire, and that might be true. Frustration is going to lead to suffering, okay? But the part that they missed, people grabbed onto, okay, detach and minimalize and don't want anything. It's like, no, don't give up your desires, because all of your life satisfaction is having them and then moving towards them.
That's true.
And so, no, don't get rid of them. What you want to get rid of is the resistance you have to attaining them. Things are flat out going to work generally until you start buying into that they won't. Are you with me on this?
I am completely with you. And, I'm doing my Rolodex, spinning back in my mind, comparing my own past experiences, and I go, ooh, you're right. And we see this all the time, especially in a tournament setting, where there's this like newcomer who's never been to like a major tournament, and they don't know they're not supposed to win. They don't know they're not supposed to bowl amazing. They don't know that they can compete on this, that they're not supposed to compete on Jason Belmonte's level, even though they've been bowling 3 years and he's been bowling since he was, out of the womb on the table. And they just do. And when people get in their head and tell them certain things, or they figure things out, is when things start to go south. We watch this all the time. And the ones that are able to block it out, whether it be, ignorance, or they're just catching on and they allow this stuff to come in, they actually just continue to do their thing. And it's amazing.
You got it. And so, yeah, if you're an experienced Hall of Famer, you're way better off playing someone who knows who you are.
Yes.
Than someone who doesn't. So let me ask you this. And again, the things we talk about in bowling, of course, are for everything. It's for everything. But all things being equal, if I put you in match play and I go, okay, it's you against whoever, and we could name 100 people, and your sort of conditions are relatively balanced, right or left or whatever it is, and you guys have a relatively equal chance, I go, who's going to win? Who's going to win, all things being relatively equal? I just finished the college bowling season with a number of teams. Teams being relatively equal, what is the primary distinction? There's several factors, of course, moving and transition, all that, but let's say all things being equal, who wins? The answer to the question, I'll give it to you, is the one that expects to.
I was gonna say, I think the person who's gonna win has the biggest desire and focus on the task at hand, not the outcome.
Desire and focus are huge elements. You want to hang on to those words. You got that right. But resistance. So what are results? Real simple formula for anybody listening. Results. I could put it in the chat. Equals desire, focused attention minus resistance, and you have results. What's results for a child? Desire. I want to be held. Focused attention. This is the drive to do it. And for the small child, no resistance. The complete expectation. This happens. I cry or coo or laugh or reach, and I get picked up. And then what happens is life happens to all of us. And we start developing stories and reasons why we can't have our results.
Mm-hmm.
I always chop buckets. Everyone else, I'm always the runner-up. I don't win. Other businesses do better than mine. Other people have better ideas than me, whatever it is. And any thought of fear, doubt, or evidence, well, this is the way it's been. I'm telling you the truth. You can't argue with that, Dr. Dean. That's the evidence. I go, awesome, that's the evidence. So your evidence was either an experiment that moved you forward, or it was evidence that this is the thing you are that's unchangeable. And everyone gets Darwin wrong. They think, oh, the strongest survive, and it's social Darwinism and economic Darwinism. It's like, no. How did everybody read him so wrong? What he said was the most adaptable survive.
Now, that's an interesting statement because looking at our past business climate for the past 18 months, we'll say, give it or take, who has survived and who has even thrived? The people who were willing to adapt, the people who were able to pivot, the people who were agile, the people who said, I know I run a bowling center, but I can't have as many people bowling in here right now. What can I do? Can I sell more food? Can I deliver food? Can I offer a private event that allows them to have, more attention? Those types of businesses and people have actually grown their revenue, built their customer base, kept open. And some of them are even whacking their own numbers from a year ago and 2 years ago, even with less attendance, less volume. So what you say there is super, super relatable to, I think, almost every business owner out there. If you just sat back and were a victim of COVID, and some people had to be for some, for a reason or not, but if you had the ability to be agile, if you had the ability to rethink your business model, to think about what services you could provide, what opportunities you could give a customer, you probably not only survived, but did pretty well.
So we start here, and again, what people do, and even people watching this might frustrate some people. No, here's my evidence. This is true. And what people use is, this is true, this is the manifest reality, as a reason to say the next thing can't be true. And I say, no, the manifest reality always has to be your springboard, but fear, doubt, questioning, and historical evidence, if you use those, your formula is disrupted. Remember, results, your expectations equal desire, focused attention minus resistance, just like a small child. You're
I'm
right.
writing this down.
Right, you can record away.
I got to have this written down for me. Writing it down is powerful for me. I'm going to remember it, and it's right here. I don't have to watch the recording to think about it. But if you digest that formula.
Jay, let me give you another one. It's very, very closely related. So expectations, we use the same formula, and we go expectations equal desire. This is what I want to do. Now, ground floor of the mental game, flat out, in business and sports and anything, is belief systems. Desire plus my belief in my capacity to have it, minus resistance. Again, resistance in the form of historical evidence, circumstances, doubts, fears, whatever it is. Expectations. So who makes their spare? You ever see, everyone here watching who's ever played this game or any other sport, you've stood there with a ball in your hand and you went, this one's already made. Everyone's had the experience, for whatever reason, in that moment of their comfort zone, their knowing, their relaxed state, they go, I already know I've made this. Some of you warming up in shadow practice, like, why do I know this now? But I don't know when the lights come on, but I do know it now, okay? And so desire plus belief. Now at the ground floor of the mental game, flat out, flat out, flat out, is your belief system. This is what I can do. This is what I get to have. This is what I can create. These are my possibilities. The infant comes onto the planet establishing belief systems. Its first belief is, I get to have that. And then it learns where its limitations are. Those of you looking around, the people who are wealthy, most of them aren't smarter than you. Most of them aren't as smart as you. I mean, I had an interesting experience. I don't even know if it's, I had a friend who invited me, who's a real estate agent. He goes, oh yeah, I want to show you this house that I'm selling. And I said, oh, all right, let's look around. And he said, it's listed at $7 million. I said, oh, who is this, Mick Jagger or Tom Brady? Or, he said, it might be because, this is their tree fort. This isn't even the main house. So I'm in the Reno, Tahoe area and showing me this property up near Tahoe. I looked around, it was just, you could imagine. And I had this thing hit me, like, I don't want that house. It's really not the thing that I want. But what I realized is, I don't want this. But the way my consciousness is, I couldn't even have it. Like, I'm so uncomfortable with this that I don't have wealth consciousness at this level that would allow myself to thrive, to have this as my tree fort.
Interesting.
And so I thought, I am limiting my possibilities. What if there was something I did want to do with $10 million? What if there's a part of the rainforest I want to save? What if there's a part of some children's community center I want to rescue? What if there's a bowling center closing that serves the needs of whatever, and I wanted to support them? I can't, because I have this consciousness that says I'm limited.
Mm.
And I went, this is awesome. I'm seeing one of my ceilings. I worked with somebody in a business, and he said his business right now is valued at about 60 million. And he said, what are we going to do, Doc? I want to move us to worth 100 million. And I got all these employees who are just at a $60 million consciousness. And we're going to have to think different because they don't see us as a $100 million business.
Wow.
And I thought, this is interesting. And he nailed it.
He really did, didn't he?
It's all about scale. It's me at that house, which is, I don't want that house, but I better have it be possible if I'm going to help other people have unlimited possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
And I've spent the time since then looking at, where is my resistance to having that kind of wealth come in? And I'm spotting it all over the place. So I'm flipping on it, but seriously. And I thought, somewhere in the ground floor of my belief system, I'm limiting what comes in. And I promise you, your results, everybody's results, are manifestations of their belief systems. James Clear wrote Atomic Habits. He says, basically what you can see is the lagging results of your habits. And what I'm saying is, what you can see is the lagging results of the habits of your thought.
You know, we're just a few minutes into our talk and we're so deep in this, it's making my head spin, because I have everything you're saying right now for me is resonating as a player, right? I can't tell you the number of times I've stepped up on the approach. I left a 10 pin, and I'm so angry that I left it, because I know off my hand if it's possibly to be a 10 pin generally, because I'm like, I didn't really execute it great. And the angle is going to be just the perfect angle, but it's going to be the wrong perfect angle, ring around it. Week 10, you can decide. But so you leave just a ring 10 and you want to be like, well, damn it, everybody else is carrying this stuff. Why can't I? And so then I get in the mindset of like, oh my God, like, just take your time. Don't worry about this. Just make it. And then you stand up there and you're like, well, maybe I should wait a second. The minute you're in that mindset, I guarantee you my spare percentage at that point goes to like 12%, because I'm not in the autopilot mode like you say. I'm allowing my own thoughts to control my future right then and there within the next 4 steps. Why? Why would I even do that? Because I haven't trained myself to just pick the ball up and go and do what you do a billion times without thinking about it, right? And this is very, very, I just see it. I see it.
And Jay, I've seen you bowl. You're just fun to watch. You have a game, this world-class game. You really do.
Thank you.
It's inimitable. And instead of you saying, "This is awesome. Give me the ball. I get to do this thing that I can do like no other," you're not even thinking that. You're
Nope.
going, how do I make this thing? Which is, again, it's the wrong goal.
Yep.
Your goal should be to do this thing that, if you were a painter and you can draw a stroke like look what I can do with a line, and you're looking around going, I wonder how this line's going to be judged, you're lost.
Done. 100%.
And so judgment is a form of resistance as well. And we want to look at that.
And Jason Belmonte suffered very little of that, because he was able to, at least he was eventually able to overcome the judgment of his style, and he didn't let it affect him. I'm sure he had moments in parts of his life where he did let it affect him. But when you think about somebody like him, he's still to this day judged. He's the best player in the world, one of the top athletes in the world. And yet people still judge him. But he's learned to just, well, I don't care what they say. I'm doing what I do. Prove them wrong.
Well,
interesting.
Well, hang on. Let me comment on this about Jason. And again, I'll handle these things a little bit delicately. I don't think that, do I have a right to say this? It's not about proving anyone wrong. Jason's
no.
And I want to get this, because for any of you who are trying to achieve anything, if you're proving to yourself or to somebody else, some part of your subconscious says, I'm not it until the thing happens. You don't win to become a champion. You win because you get that you are one.
Yeah.
And if you make and want to make $10 million, those of you who are in business, to prove to the people in high school or prove to yourself or whatever, some part of your consciousness is going, I guess I'm not that thing until this happens. I'm going to introduce what might be a revolutionary thought in it, and there may be a lot of disagreement out here, which is fine. Those of you who have something you want, let's start with, you wouldn't want it if it wasn't possible. If it wasn't in you, those of you who want wealth, those of you who want to be more fit, those of you who want to be more confident, those of you who want, in fact, we can take out the word more. Those of you who want wealth, confidence, fitness, abundance, satisfaction, joy. I'm going to suggest you watching, you wouldn't even have the desire if it wasn't within you to move towards it.
Okay.
So let's start with that. And now let's start with another revolutionary idea, which is it doesn't have to hurt the whole time on the way to it. Okay, so let's take a look at my goal for you and me being together. So I've known for weeks we were gonna connect. I really was looking forward to this. What's my goal? My goal is to do something no one has ever done in the world ever in our half hour, 45 minutes together, whatever we're doing. I thought, let's have the best show ever. Okay, and it will be or not, but that's where I start. Like, let's have the best show ever. And so now somebody from the outside would look at what I have done preparing to be with you, which is for weeks, I am gathering all kinds of material that's in line with what we're working on today. I have some morning rituals that I go through. I have an hour of, study or podcasts or whatever every single morning. And oftentimes I'm doing whatever workout or stretching I do during that time, but I'm taking it in. Well, I thought, okay, this last 2 weeks, let's have every single thing be in the direction of my show with Jay. True story. Okay.
Wow.
And let me do my version of Dan Patterson, I guess, which is every time I have a thought, every time I have an idea that's in line with where I'm going with Jay, I'm going to have a folder and I'm going to have a set of notes. And this is like the Jay Nephew show. This would be cool. This would be cool. This would be cool. And somebody from the outside would say, look how much work Dr. Dean's put into that show with Jay. There's literally got to be 30 or 40 hours into that. Wasn't that, I mean, that's a discipline. That's hard. And I'd go, actually, it was a gas. How fun is it every time I have a new idea, a novel idea, every time I go, I'm earning my chops here. Whatever we talk about, there's research behind this, and there's empirical research behind this, and there's neuroscience behind this. How much am I enjoying that? And I've had the best time having this show with you for a month. And so what's my goal? Best show, at least introduction to goal setting that's ever been done. What's my other goal? Let's do things that nobody ever talks about. Let's do it different than the SMART goals, specifically. Yeah. Again, if they worked, we'd all be, whatever. And was it hard? It would only be hard if this wasn't interesting to me.
Yeah, that's true. And we find that true with people who are very successful at what they do. Oftentimes they'll say, I don't really work. I just do things that I like to do. Other people think it's work. It's not work to me because I enjoy it.
So let's look at maybe one of the greatest athletic achievements of all time, Alex Honnold free climbing up El Capitan. Some people may have seen the movie Free Solo. And he's a different cat. And his brain scans look different than other people's. Climbed up El Capitan, 3,000-4,000 feet, no ropes.
That's crazy.
Not a lot of room for mistakes. And when he was done that night, he just went back and worked on his pull-up board and all that again. And somebody goes, look how hard that guy works. I've not met him, but I don't think he would define it that way. He loves being on rock. He loves problem solving. He loves the chess of this thing. He loves the experience of aliveness that he has. And from the outside, if you don't love rock climbing, it would be nothing but work.
True.
But I love meeting with you. I love exploring new ideas. I love the expansion of what I'm becoming. I would hate the thought that I've plumbed the mental game and I'm done discovering new things. That would stink for me.
Right. Yeah. Like there's nothing more for me to learn.
So your goals are attainable. Those of you watching, if you got them, they are. I'm going to flat out go on it like that. And two, contrary to cultural beliefs, it doesn't have to be hard even half the time, unless you're doing stuff that really weren't your goals to begin with that you don't like. Because there has to be moments of satisfaction along the way that where you go, cool, that was a step, that was in the right direction. I never used to walk around. I used to get no exercise. I just walked around the block. Check me out. Plus, I liked feeling some power in my legs I didn't even know I had. Whatever it is, whether it's money, whether it's fitness, whether it's education, whether it's learning how to explore being more vulnerable, open, and intimate with your partners or your friends. If it's real, you're going to like the path. And if it's not real, if you're doing a thing that your culture or your coach or someone else said this should be your goal, you're going to hate it. But if it's yours, it's doable, and it's not going to be hard the whole time. How's that?
That's mind blowing. I'm going to say that right now. Yeah, it is mind blowing. Thank you to everybody who's watching right now. Georgia, Dan Patterson's watching, so he knows I'm talking about him. Mike Nelly, good to hear from you. Mike Cannington said $7 million is chump change for you, Jay Nephew. See, Mike thinks the way I should think, but I'm going to learn how to think that way, Mike. Thank you for that reminder.
Chump change. Those are great.
Chump change, right? So, okay, so what's the next kind of step with achieving those goals? We talked, you kind of talked about some framework for what they should feel like, what they should look like, how you can kind of define them. Where do you go next? How do you go along that journey?
So number one, we start with, and again, you may have a belief system. You guys watching, you've got to challenge this, like Dan winning the national championship or being on the national team. You have to start with everything I want is valid.
That's important. That's really hard to swallow for some people. There's so many people, including myself, who feel like I'm really not supposed to be worthy of this for whatever reason they have. Some people, it might be some type of, life experience or abuse, or there's so many reasons why we could have that kind of a message in our head. But you're saying that if I today am sitting here thinking to myself, you know what, I want to own my own bowling center. That's my goal. Then I'm worthy of it and I can absolutely do it.
If you don't have that, you will undo it. You guys listening, even if you're daydreaming, you flipping got to check in right now. If you don't believe your goal is valid, you will undo it. If you don't believe you get to be a champion, you're going to miss a spare in a sixth frame or wherever you're going to miss it. You're going to go back to second place because you're a runner-up. And I'm not saying that like an attack. I'm saying if it's that in your mind, if I don't get to have this, you'll undo it. Your belief, it's just how it is. They're like train. If you had two trains and one is this is what I want and desire, and you had another train and go, here's my belief system. If it's in the direction of your desire, you have all this momentum going, this thing's going to happen. But if the belief system's pulling in the other direction, like, well, here's what's always happened to me, or this is what I get to have, or this is what my parents always said to me, or some coach said to me, or some person said to me, and the train's, you got a belief pulling in the other direction, they're going like this. Well, at best, this one has drag on it, and at worst, this one's stronger.
I have met people like you're just describing, and honestly, sometimes they present themselves maybe as cockiness, maybe as overconfident. Maybe that's just my take on it, but they don't believe that they shouldn't win. They don't believe that they shouldn't strike every time. I mean, I'm being a little facetious there, but they have just such strong convictions that they've allowed themselves to maintain and cultivate and just hold on to and believe, like you said, that you can actually see it in their actions. You can actually feel it when you talk to them and when you watch them do their thing, whatever that may be. I think Shannon O'Keefe is one of those people where she believes what she believes and she just does it. I remember Shannon when she didn't believe all that. She's always been a strong individual, but she clicked somewhere around here and it's been sense, right? Like, this makes sense to me now. You're making me go, wow, think about all those other things that happened. You have just drawn that one point that crystallizes all those thoughts into one clear thought, like genius.
A great call. Now, number one, if you don't have it as completely valid that you get to have the thing you want to have in any realm in life, that's where our work's going to be. And remember, what is a belief? A belief is a thought you continue to think. That's all it is. When people go, I keep having the same thought, I keep having the same thought. This is my opinion about these politics or about my fitness level or about my wealth. Thoughts that you continue to think just automatically are belief systems. And so changing belief systems requires focused energy and repetition in another direction. Those are the rules. These are house rules, secrets of the universe.
Focused energy and repetition in another direction. Those words need to be on a t-shirt.
Okay, that's one of our t-shirts. Number two, unlike the prevailing cultural belief, there is a comfortable path to achieving your goals. It doesn't mean every moment is comfortable, but overall, you go, well, this would be awesome if I want to go to great wealth, great health, great fitness, great championship results. You're telling me there's a comfortable path? Yeah, because if you love the thing, you're going to like doing it anyway. You're going to like practicing. You're going to like consulting. What do I like? If I consult with somebody who's really got it going, someone else might go, look at the work Dr. Dean's putting in. He's spending hours with that guy consulting with him. I'm like, don't tell anybody, but I flipping love this. Yeah. I want to find people that I can draw from. I want to find people like right now that I can share with. And I want to find people that I can see if I can give it away. Like, do I have it consolidated? That is a comfortable path. From the outside, if it's not something you like, it's not a comfortable path. But
Right.
my real goal is that we are world class. And so everything that I've done for somebody who doesn't have that goal looks like work. For me, it's been awesome. I have liked every single morning gathering materials, preparing to talk to you.
Right? Well, I appreciate your efforts because it clearly resonates right through. Like, I'll tell you this, if y'all think this is valuable, and you should, don't be afraid to drop us a check to drdeanhinitz.com.
I'm open to that. I'm working on my adaptability. Now, number three, so I've given you first two steps. Everything I want is valid. Number two, your path will feel good if it's a real goal. And, mostly, until sometimes we chafe as we transform. And number three, just as I was doing with you, writing things down, you want to get a notebook or have a place on your computer where it is, where you write down on, you have someplace to go, what does this mean to me? And you look at words that, like if I work with a player, have been all day yesterday, getting ready for Queens today. What is it going to mean to you to play well tomorrow? It's like, well, I'm going to feel connected. I'm going to feel powerful. I'm going to feel, I'm going to have this amazing experience. It's going to feel easy. It's going to feel fun. That there's words about the life you want to have where you go, this is why it's worth it. I like bowling when I feel like I'm in flow. I like bowling when I feel like this is a gas. What does it mean to me? You personally, it's like, it means I'm expanding or I'm growing or I'm becoming my total self. Whatever thoughts you need to have that are going to be in line with your goal will start to appear. So if we think about this, I may have done this exercise with you before, I don't remember. Everyone who's watching right this second, if I say, be aware of everything in the room where you are right now that's blue. You look around, you go, oh, well, there's a Morton salt thing on the counter. That's blue. And my blue jeans are a little bit blue. And there's some blue fiber in the carpet, or, there's a blue book cover, whatever it is. I didn't even really notice there was all this blue stuff before. And I go, and while you're looking at the blue stuff, how much brown stuff did you see? And go, well, actually none. I know there was brown, but I wasn't even looking for it.
Mm-hmm.
Once you have a goal, I'm going to find everything that's blue. It was my goal to meet with you, which is everything that's in line with goal setting. I'm going to notice. I'm going to notice it in podcasts. I'm going to notice it in things I read. I'm going to notice it in conversations with people. I was so interested in this topic with you that everything that was in line with it, I started noticing. It was like the universe went, watch what I throw at you now. All that stuff was there anyway, but I started noticing it. And all the stuff associated with failure wasn't even coming into my awareness.
How powerful is that?
When you start going, this is fun, let's see what's blue, other colors become less important. You don't have to push them away. they become uninteresting. It's the same thing with a single shot. You know, I had the people, when I identify that I had a conversation with someone, I have permission to share them. So just so, again, so you know, okay. So I asked, some of you know who Matt McNeil is. He'll end up in the Hall of Fame. He's got a couple of Eagles, all events, that kind of thing.
A couple. I actually bowled doubles with him one year at USBCs. We didn't catch because it was my fault. But
yeah, okay. Well, and he said that too. He said that was Jay's fault, but no, he did. But I asked him, when you had the one shot where you knew, if I make this, I'm in the Hall of Fame. Like it was one more, he was going to win all events if he struck one more time. And I'm always interested in these moments. And everything that he told me was in line with, and actually this conversation was 2 days ago. Everything that he told me was in line with what we're talking about, which was complete focus on the parts of his game that were rewarding and he trusted and he believed in. And every part of him has a belief system that says, I get to have this as well as anybody else. And I want you guys to hear this. Again, tune in for a second. If you're going, I think I can run with the big dogs, you're not one. There's either dogs and you're one of them, or there's big dogs, and so you think you're a smaller dog. It's like, and some of you can go, and I'll speak metaphorically and literally, some of you can go in a match play and go, I can play with them, and you're looking up, and it's like, yeah, but you're not one of them. How do I know? You're looking up.
Yep.
Versus I can play. I'm in the same phylum as everybody, and I'm not going to buy into all these stories about that because you're in the Hall of Fame, it gives you one step up. I can respect that, and I know what it takes to get there. I know what it takes to get there, but I'm not going to make myself a little dog. And if you say, I'm going to play with the big dogs in the financial world, I'm going to play with the big dogs in the business world. It's like, it takes, if you were going to invent Dairy Queen, or you're going to invent, a pro shop, the process of envisioning and then creating and then figuring out what it needs to make it happen is the same. You go, oh, pro shop's not as big as Dairy Queen. A pro shop isn't as big as Apple computers. And I would say it's the same. What Steve Jobs did is what you're doing when you make your pro shop, but you have something in your consciousness. And if a pro shop's what you want, beautiful. You don't have to have Apple computers. It comes with a whole nother set of whatever. But it takes the same thing to create yours as it did to create that. And as soon as you have this up here, you're not getting it. If you envision a castle and want to build it, or you envision a tree fort, it's the same thing. It's just who thinks they get a castle and who thinks they get a tree fort.
Who can afford that $7 million home? Who thinks they belong there? Who deserves to be there? Whomever they want to, right? That's what you're saying. If you feel like you should be in a $7 million home and you know that you should be there and that should be your house, you have the ability to get that. Yeah. That's powerful right there. That's crazy.
So, Jay, how are we doing for time?
We're doing as good as you want. It's 2:48 right now. Well, it's 48 minutes into the show. So, I mean, we can wrap this now, and you might have to come back for round 3 at some point.
Let me give you a couple of things because people like action steps.
Thank you.
And then we'll leave.
I've been a terrible host. I'm just following along and soaking it in.
You've been so bad. It's been remarkable to me that how good I've had to be to compensate.
I know.
But we're going to make this work, Jay.
Okay.
Here's the thing. Whether it's a 10-pin spare, whether it's your strike line, whether it's your desire to own something, whether it's your desire to have whatever ultimate goal you want to have, it's fine. You can have a big goal. You can say 10 million. You can say, I want to win a title. I don't care. But once it's out there, you don't have to keep reiterating it. It's there. You make a decision and you say, I am going to line up with it. I'll make it as simple as a shot. This is my line. And I'm going to shed any resistance to any other possibilities. I'm only going to see things and do things that are consistent with the line I'm playing. I'm going to see the blue, whatever's brown is going to drop up by itself. Make a decision, line up with it. If it's a goal or decision you like, you're going to have a gas lining up with it, as I have preparing for this show. I had more fun preparing for this than you would believe. I'm not even kidding. This has been a gas for me, and the depth of my ability to train the mental game is better because we did this, and we spent a month preparing. You'll feel when things are in line with what you're doing or not. Feel the impulse to act. If your goals are in line with stuff you really want to do, it's not hard work. You're going to want to call people. You're going to want to find investors. You're going to want to be creative. It's interesting. You'll feel impulses to act unless your goal isn't a real one. The baby that reaches for the bottle has an impulse to act. It's like, this is a real goal. I want that. You will have intrinsic from inside of you impulses to act in the direction of your goals. That's what makes it easy. That's what makes it cool. Let your emotions steer you. If something is a grind the whole time, like I was a grinder, it's probably not great. I didn't grind my way to having fun with you today. This is awesome. And you have to look at, so step one, make a decision, line up with it. Step two, feel the impulse to act. Step three, notice your emotions. If they're the ones you want, hope, joy, enthusiasm, belief, fun, all of that, you're probably heading in the right direction. If it's grind, awful, hate it, don't want to get out of bed, probably not.
The wrong direction.
Probably not. Your emotions are going to be a lot of information. Let go of resistance. If you haven't achieved the thing you want, you probably have a belief system somewhere that's in the way. See if you can find it.
Wow, that is a lot of information, but it's concise and it's digestible. And even if you have to pause this, rewind it, and listen to it again, which feel free, right? Take those steps, take that action. If this is what you want out of your life, out of your experience that you have while you're here with us, you deserve this. You can do this, and you may need help along the way. If you need that help, drdeanhinitz.com is Dr. Dean's website. Dr. Dean works with one-on-one with business owners, with professional bowlers, professional golfers, professional soccer players, I'm assuming, basketball, anybody. Like, listen, it's not just about, becoming a champion in sports or a champion in business. You may want to be the best person you can be, and you have personal goals. I don't see why you couldn't help with that. Everything you've said applies blanketly across life to me. So.
Love it. Thank you, Jay, for that. Thanks. That's a super good summary. And this was so fun hanging out with you.
Well, I appreciate your time, Dr. Dean. I'm going to have to, you can get my copay from my health insurance, but I'm going to have to submit my, I'll give you the copay. You got to you got to bill my health insurance for the visit today.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thank you for recognizing that.
Likewise, guys, if you want to work with Dr. Dean, please reach out to him. He's very approachable. And we thank you for joining us today on Beyond the Frame. I've hoped you've learned something about setting your goals and achieving them, and a lot more, because I did not expect it to be this detailed and deep. And I am going to say goodbye for now, and I'm going to digest what we've learned, and I'm going to put it to work where? In a couple weeks at Nationals. So look out, Vegas, here we come.
All right.
All right, you guys, take care. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time on Beyond the Frame. Bye-bye now.